Good morning. It was 8 years ago that my brother approached the pulpit to preach his sermon on the I am third rule: God first, others second, and yourself third. He had everything down: a good theme, a good story, and an excellent closer. The only thing he did not have was a good opening paragraph. I remember him pacing back and forth in our living room, trying to figure out some clever way to grab the attention of the crowd. He decided he needed some help, so he went to an adult who was a close friend at this church and asked him of his opinion. He caught him while leaving the church and asked him, and you might know this man, Mr. Floyd, I'm having trouble on figuring out a good opener for my sermon. You know, one that will grab the congregation into it. Mr. Floyd nodded his head, thought for a moment, and came up with an idea. He said, Eric, how about this? I believe this one seems like a good opening line. Good morning. My name is Eric Wills, and I'm a senior at Northview High School. I will be attending the University of West Georgia next fall and studying early childhood education. I'll be preaching on Matthew 22, 37 through 40. So, good morning. My name is Andrew Wills, and I'm a senior at Northview High School. I'll be attending Virginia Tech next fall, and I'll be studying history and political science. I'll be preaching on Matthew 6, verse 34, which is, therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble on its own. And don't worry, it's going to be different than Sarah's. Now, as a student, I'm always bombarded with homework, projects, and study guides for the future quizzes and tests. You can ask my family over there, and they will definitely tell you that I am stressed a lot of times. With juggling around school, Boy Scouts, and hanging out with my friends, there is not a time where I have not something going on. Now, Jesus gave us this message when he had his Sermon on the Mount, and I think that is a very important point. You see, people from Galilee, Syria, Decapolis, Jerusalem, Judea, and Jordan came and followed this man who they knew very little of. Do you think they were all the same? Of course not. Each of the men and women who came had their own problems, likings, and choices they held close to them. My scripture comes from when Jesus is talking about worries and anxieties. In summary of that passage, he told us not to worry about what we own or what we need. Instead, he tells us that everything is going to be okay. He told us not to worry about the clothes that we wear, the fluids or foods that we need, the condition of our bodies, or even the fate of our lives. And now, I worry about a lot of that stuff. It seems that it's not just me either. In today's society, we worry about everything: relationships, money, clothes, media, politics, our bodies, our beliefs, our education. It seems that we almost cover everything we can stress about. If you don't believe me, ask around yourselves. I know all of you stress. I know I do. In recent years, surveys from Stress in America reported that on average 60% of teenagers are stressed in their high school. Now, out of that 60%, a total of 65% of that comes from the education they're learning. Where does the rest come from? 20% is relationships, 10% is their body, and the other 5% is what to wear the next day at school. In 2010, an average teenager had the same or higher amount of average anxiety than a psychiatric patient in the 1950s. So what's the problem here? I think it's just a simple answer. We overbook ourselves in too many ways, and that we all need to have time in our schedule to relax by walking in parks, hanging with your friends at the lake, leaning back and enjoying the sun. Just, enjoy the day. A lot of people will tell you that I love movies. Almost any movie you throw at me, I will definitely watch. With my liking of movies comes with the constant question of, what's your favorite movie? Without any doubt, it has to be The Dead Poets Society, starring Robin Williams. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you all to watch it. The movie follows a group of boys at a private school and their literature teacher, Mr. Keating. The movie goes on about their interaction with their teacher and the boys' personal life. There's a quote in that movie that always gets me, though. It is, "Carpe diem, seize the day, boys. Let your lives be extraordinary." But instead of talking it, he says this in a whisper. And every time I think about it, I hear Robin Williams saying it with a whisper. Carpe diem, seize the day, boys. Let your lives be extraordinary. I think we need to stop looking into the future and stay in the present. We also put our minds toward the future, asking ourselves the what if or who will questions. We need to stop asking the who, what, when, where, and how questions. William James, an American philosopher and psychologist, once said, "The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another." What thoughts, though? My grandfather and grandmother always told me, if you had bad dreams, think of a place you feel safe or warm. Well, I imagine where they live, Joy Harbor, and the smell of fresh blackberry cobbler in the oven. The church is also an answer. I know the pastors here and the youth ministers will gladly help me at all times. Kelly Clarkson, an American singer and songwriter, also said, "God will never give you anything you can't handle, so don't stress." I think our lives are too short to always be stressed about something. I know it's difficult not to stress. Trust me, I know. But take some time to just sit down on your porch and enjoy the birds, the gentle breeze. Since I'm going to Virginia Tech next fall, I'm going to miss my home and my community a lot. They have given me a lot of things, which I don't feel like I've repaid back to them. I've been going down by the creek lately in my backyard just before the sun comes down to hear the birds, the wind, the insects, the frogs. It helps me de-stress and focus what needs to be done. My parents always told me, if you take one step at a time, everything will be done, and I believe that's the best advice someone can give you. I want to close with a story. A professor entered the class carrying a glass of water. The professor was giving a lecture to his students on stress management. He raised the glass of water and asked the audience, "How heavy do you think this glass of water is?" The answers ranged from 1 pound to 2 pounds to 5 pounds. Even somebody said 10 pounds. But it does not matter on the absolute weight. It depends on how long you hold it. If I hold it for a minute, I'm okay. It's going to be fine. If I hold it for an hour, I might start having a little ache in my right arm. But if I hold it for a day, maybe even a week, someone in the congregation might have to call an ambulance because I'll be hurting a lot. It is the exact same weight, but the longer I hold it, the heavier it becomes. If we carry our stress and anxiety all the time, sooner or later, we will not be able to carry on. The burden will become increasingly heavier. What you have to do is put the glass down, rest for a while before holding it back up again. We have to put down the burden periodically so that we can be refreshed and are able to carry on. As the professor closed, he mentioned this to his class. Before you return home from work tonight, put the burden of work down. Don't carry it back home. You can pick it up tomorrow morning. Whatever burdens you are having now on your shoulders, let it down for a moment if you can. Pick it up again later when you have rested. I think we all need to put the glass of water down and seize the day again. We have put our stresses away so that we can enjoy our lives and be productive all the same. Can you hear it again? Can you say it this time? Carpe diem, seize the day, let your lives be extraordinary. I think it is time that we all stand up and seize the day. May the Lord bless you and have a wonderful, non-stressful day. Thank you.